Peace, power, prosperity. This your comrade, your brother, Yafeuh Balogun. Back at it one more time. Thinking about Timber Park, I kind of want to clear my mind a minute and think about some times that we had at Timber Park. Uh, some of the key people that we were concerned about the most, I think, was Scudder. Scudder was like the big time dope dealer, if you will, in Timber Park. That's what Scudder was. Scudder was I guess Scuttle was like 6'2", 215 pounds, and he wore a shag. And if you're familiar with Texas, you know how if you're familiar with Yellow Beezy, you know how Texas wore shags. We wear shags down here, we're particularly, especially Dallas. And so he was tall, light skinned, and had a shag, one of those shags in the back like Yellow Beezy, and that's what he wore. And keep in mind, this is like 2008 for the most part. So this is maybe 14, 15 years ago, something like that. But yeah, he wore a shag and he was real tall, but he was a dope boy, but he wasn't like aggressive. You know how some folks be aggressive or whatever. He wasn't aggressive like that, like not or he tried to be intimidating. He was more like a old school dope boy. You know what I mean? The ones that be concerned more about money than concerned about crime, right? That's what he was. He was more concerned about making money than crime. So he was more smoother, if you will. And so I just remember meeting with Kathy, who was the owner of Timber Park, and sitting down talking with her. And we were sitting in the office, and they had Maria, who was like the apartment manager. I think that was her name, Maria. And so I remember being in there with Kathy, and Kathy's like one of these well-to-do white women or whatever with a lot of money that lives probably off of US 75 and some ritzy part of town. I think that's where she lived at. But anyway, she owned the apartment complex, and her objective basically was to ultimately sell Timber Park, and the way she let us on was I guess a way of kind of cutting costs, meaning that she fired the Dallas Police Department and she basically let us on, and we started working. So we sitting in this office, and Scudder comes in, and he's coming in complaining about I guess he was complaining about something wrong with his apartment, and him and Kathy kind of had some words, kind of exchanged some words, and so we then proceeded to follow her, and she follows him, kind of yelling stuff in his direction. She basically telling him how certain things are a leaf violation. I think he had a sign in his window. He lived upstairs in Temple Park, like upstairs apartment, and a sign in the window was like a do not disturb, and it had like a man with holding a pistol. Like you can see like it was like a revolver. And so she was telling him to take that out the window because it was against his terms of his lease. And so just keep in mind, before we got there, they was telling us that, hey, we going they were saying they was gonna run us before we came over the property, because we were still over at Spring Hollow. And I kind of mentioned a little bit about Spring Hollow on the last one. Uh, Timber Park was across the street, and so before we got there, they was telling us how they was gonna shoot us down and how they was gonna keep us from patrolling the community and all this type of stuff. And so we realized that he was basically the leader. He had many different people under him at the time. Um, he had many different people under him. I remember a brother by the name of Charles, who he basically sold uh, he basically sold stuff at the laundromat, and yeah, he was basically a laundromat. So basically, if you were sitting up in the laundromat, if you was come to wash your clothes, he would be right there. You know how they do now. You need some gas, but of course they wasn't saying gas back then. He just asked you straight out, and he had a few people working with him. But Scudder had the Scudder basically had the whole back end, and he had folks working with him on the front end. And so If you came through the gate, because it was only one way in and one way out. If you came through the gate and it was an electronic gate that opened and closed, you came through the gate, you drive up and you would drive past the laundromat. And if you made it past the laundromat, you park in the back and you can walk up to Scudder apartment. Now, Scudder had several apartments throughout the complex as well with different people. They had different things going on in the pub. Some people did pills, and that was a pill apartment. Some people had marijuana, that was marijuana. That sort of kind of thing. So it's kind of like a more organized situation. Now here we come. We doing Community Unification Day. We got all the old folks in the apartment complex liking the fact that we there, and they sort of dissatisfied with the Dallas Police Department, so you can understand like how they felt about the Dallas police. And the Dallas police was upset because it was sort of, a few of them officers were making a little bit of money. And because we came on the scene, they got kicked off. And then you gotta look at it from the apartment owners think they like, oh, we can save some money. Let's get these guys on. They basically gonna do the same thing as DPD do, minus the arresting. That's how she looked at it, and she got to save money. So all in all, that was kind of the situation and the scenario. That more so kind of created the environment of the patrols in Temple Park. Mainly, it was me, Mel Chesedad, a couple of other people. Saida Williams that was there. That was Mel Chesedad's girlfriend at the time. Um, she was there. And her job was she brought the education thing, and so we was pushing PLC, People's Lunch Counter. At the time, PLC eventually became Gorilla Mainframe. But PLC was about promoting healthy lifestyle, vegetarian lifestyle, and kind of like some food alternatives, but also working out and training like every day. So we more or less through Saida brought back Black August for the city of Dallas in those times. And no disrespect to any elders out there, but we kind of brought it back to Dallas. I didn't see it in Dallas beforehand, Black August, and so she had did some research about Black August and said that she wanted to do a Black August education course. And I'm talking about Saida, a Black August education course. And this Black August education course was uh, had to do with some physical workouts that we had to do every day, had to eat healthy, and this sort of thing. And this is how I eventually come into contact with vegetarianism. So if anybody know I've been a vegetarian for a little bit of time here since '07. It was because we went through that Black August education course, and that was part of the process, and we supported it. So me and Mel, we got out there every day, every night initially, and was patrolling the community every night. And one night we went to the walking through the back of the apartment. The front of the apartment seemed like it was cool at night for the most part. We got to the back of the apartment where we dealt with Scudder, and Scudder had a cousin. I can't remember this cousin name, but I tell you, this ninja was always loudmouth. And so I remember we had like a team of because we tried to come over there strong based upon what we was told. So we had like a team of about 12 people armed. We was doing armed patrols. Some people had shotguns, rifles, mainly long guns, sort of thing. And so we walking through the front and we kind of pushing the curfew, 10 o'clock curfew, telling, letting people know to kind of go inside or whatever. And they, most of them agreed, and most of them, wanted to keep peace. And so we walked towards the middle of the apartment. Now, in the middle of the apartment complex was a swimming pool, like a big, large swimming pool. And that's when you start encountering you. And so we kind of tell them move around a little bit, and they, for the most part, move around a little bit. And of course, at this particular point, had one or two that was kind of mouthy about it, like, what's up with y'all, and that sort of thing. And hey, I let them know, hey, that or somebody in the group let them know, hey, we pushing we're pushing everything in at 10, what I mean, that sort of thing. And actually that goes in line with the citywide curfew anyway. So we pushing everything in at 10. And keep in mind this is before cameras on phones and all this type of stuff. So, all this type thing. So pushing everything in at 10, push them in or made them move around. And we get to the back. We walk by Scudder apartment. We don't see no action in Scudder apartment at all. And then, but we walk to around the corner to his cousin house, and his cousin his light is on, and all of a sudden he sticks his head out the window and he started, yelling and cussing at us, in our direction, talking about we gonna get shot down and keep on doing what we doing. We gonna see what happens. Ain't nobody worried about us, that sort of thing. And so one person amongst the group did, go, say something back to him to the effect that, hey, we gonna keep everybody safe here, that sort of kind of thing. And he was just big pissed off about it. I just wish I could remember his name. I know Mel Chesedek remember his name, but I just can't remember his name at all. So he stuck his head out the window and he was just a cussing, right? And he was going on. And the way they had it set up at nighttime was is that the front portion in the laundromat would be shut down. That's the way it was shut down. And the back portion where Scudder and them lived and the cousin lived, and they lived in separate apartments, keep in mind, but just real close to each other. The back portion would be open. So we realized the way that it worked, the way it worked for them, and so we just posted. Imagine 10 to 12 armed black men with guns standing right there in the parking lot. And so what had happened was is that customers would come in, drive around, and then see us, like 10 of us. And instead of stopping, they would just keep driving and make like a circle and go back out. So we did that. We did that. We stayed doing that, and we pretty much essentially on that particular day and the next preceding days after that, like basically killed their nighttime business. That's basically what we did. We basically killed their nighttime business and kept things from basically happening. There wasn't no drug sales going on, anything of that nature going on at that particular time, just because we was able to um, kind of deter it. And so they was upset about it. They was real upset about it, and they really want to try to make some physical altercations that took place. Um, Not exactly during that time, but what led up to it. But I just kind of want to give a detail as to what happened, basically on the first couple of nights at Timber Park. Timber Park, we came to mainly me and Mel Chesedad, and then like I said, uh, the one night, the second night, we had to go through kind of strong and went back there and was Scudder lived there and got into it with his cousin. His cousin down there just kind of making all types of noise, things of that nature. And me and Melchizedek, we trying to hold our bearing, but one person did kind of go back and forth with him, and he never did come down those stairs though. I want y'all to know that he never did come down those stairs. He basically that was talking out the window. So I don't think he wanted any problems or anything with us. We was all armed or anything, but I know that they had guns too. So I say that to say that we had a guns, but they had guns too. But I think at that particular point we was kind of outgunning them. But like I said, our whole objective was not necessarily to pay too much close attention to what he was talking about. It was more or less kind of deter the kind of the traffic, and that was part of the problem because with the traffic, what led to that is a lot of break-ins, a lot of robbery took place. Uh, people were scared to walk outside to their car and leave. Let's just say, like, you want to go get a hamburger or something late at night. I know a lot of y'all like to go to Jack in the Box and McDonald's, and uh, if you from Texas, you go to Whataburger at night because they open all night long. Whataburger, you can go get a hamburger, French fries, and all that type. Say something like that. Well, you were scared if you had to take a family with you, you had a kid with you, you got to take a kid with you. You were scared to do that because it was when you came outside, people walking outside with guns, and I think keep in mind this was the type of environment where random things happen all the time. Random things happen all the time. Man, it was like the weirdest thing. And so that was the reason why we came on the property. Number one, it was beneficial for the apartment manager because apartment owner because it cut costs for having the DPD, but it made DPD upset with us. And much later, DPD tries a few things against us that I think which tried to intimidate us, and we had to make a stance. And I know I definitely made a stance against the PD. He transitioned and respects to his family, but he passed away shortly thereafter. After we left, he had passed away from an overdose. But Scudder was, he wasn't aggressive. He was more smooth. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing I'm gonna say about Scudder. But anyway, catch me on the next one. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about our patrols in Timber Park. You know what I'm saying? In addition, initially to Timber Park, and we did some in apartment complex called Aspen Chase. It's called something else now. And had some issues with the police on Aspen Chase. And the police in the Northeast subdivision under the police chief Jan Easterling at the time had a real problem with us on these properties because we was basically civilian, from their perspective, but we was armed at the same time. And keep in mind, all of this is we were on. This is 2007, 2008, 2009. All of this is way before this open carry business and folks talking about we got the rights to be, the open carry. This is way before any of this went down and anybody was aware of it, especially black folks. Black folks wasn't aware, at least in the state of Texas, anything about State Statute 46. And I mean, on a broad scale, I'm sure there was some that may have known. But catch me on the next one. Yafeuh Balogun, street reporter, just kind of reminiscing, talking about a little bit of history that went on in Pleasant Grove. Ultimately, this is what led years later, 2017, which led to the FBI arresting Rakim Balogun. I think all of this was kind of like building pieces that kind of built up to something. And so that's what that's what that situation was essentially. But like, share, subscribe. If you can like it, you can share it. Please subscribe so you can get the notifications of when we're going active again. That would be helpful. You know what I mean? When I'm going active again, because I want to bring some good elders on. I think that's important, and I think that's really what's being missing right now in this current movement is folks don't got no elders. Folks don't have no connection with elders, and folks ain't building a relationship with elders. And I'm talking about real elders who got real traction. I'm not talking about none of these fake boys that's been running around here for years and years and doing all types of crazy stuff. I'm talking about elders who actually put in legitimate work, and their character and their track record speak for itself. And that's a small few of people. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate you for your time. Peace, power, and prosperity.